Hello friends, welcome to my channel Mukesh English, and this is Mukesh Soni. Friends, I do make the videos on all the themes of English or general English. So in this video, I have brought to you the 7 lesson summary of first semester BCA General English, which are prescribed under Bangalore City University. So in single video, in one video, you'll be getting all the 7 lessons summary. So let's understand which are the 7 lessons do we have in our syllabus. We have first two poems, Abu Ben Edhem, I'm Not That Woman. Then we have 3 short stories titled Sacrifice, The Bench, The Bet. We have 2 essays titled Playing the English Gentleman on Superstitions. So these are the 7 lessons which are prescribed in the first semester BCA. And in this video, you are getting here all the 7 lessons summary. And you also have a grammar. As far as the syllabus is concerned, you have reading comprehension, articles, prepositions, concord, idioms, phrases, reported speech, giving directions in instructions, developing a story. I have not done the video. I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you the inputs of the grammar here because I already done the videos in grammar. You can see the links in the description. So without much delay, let's begin the lesson number 1. So the very first poem you have, first lesson, is a poem in your syllabus, Abu Ben Edhem. It's a poem written by Leigh Hunt, a famous English critic, essayist, and poet. So, Abu Ben Edhem by Leigh Hunt is a poem about kindness and love. It tells the story of Abu, a good man, who sees an angel writing the names of people who love God. When Abu's name is not on the list, he asks his name should be included as someone who loves others. Later, the angel shows him a new list, and the Abu's name is at the top, showing that kindness and love for humanity are greatly valued by God. So let's analyze the poem stanza wise. Stanza number 1, the poet says, Abu Ben Edhem, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace, and saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like a lily in bloom, an angel writing in a book of gold. So, what does the poet say here? The poem introduces Abu Ben Edhem as a kind and very virtuous person. The phrase may his tribe increase is something like a that his people, the more people like him should exist in the world. The more people like who are kind and virtuous people should exist in the world. Tribe here refers to the people like him. One peaceful night, Abu wakes up from a deep and restful sleep. In the moonlight, filling his room, he sees an angel. The angel is writing something in a golden book. The moonlight makes the room look very beautiful and pure, like a blooming flower, and this creates a calm, divine atmosphere, suggesting it seems something special is happening here. Let us see what happens. The poet further says, exceeding peace has made Ben Edhem told, and to the presence in the room he said, what writest thou? The vision raised its head, and with a look made of all sweet record, answered, the names of those who love the Lord. Abu feels no fear when he sees the angel because he has a peaceful and pure heart. So this gives him a courage to speak up. So he politely asks the angel, what are you writing? The angel looks at him kindly, and the angel answers, I am writing the names of those people who love God. So this reveals that the Golden Book contains a list of people who are devoted to the Almighty God. So further, the poet says, and is mine one? Said Abu. Nay, no, not so, replied the angel. Abu spoke more low, but cheerily still, and said, I pray thee then, write me as one that loves his fellow men. So Abu humbly asked the angel, is my name on that list? The angel replies, no, your name is not in the list. So instead of being upset or being disappointed, Abu remains cheerful and very calm with humility. He makes a special request. He says, I have a very special request. Please write my name as someone who loves other people. I love other people. Please write my name. This shows that Abu values kindness and helping others, believing that loving humanity is just as important or as similar as loving to the God. So further what happens? The angel wrought and vanished. The next night it came again with a great awakening light, and showed the names whom love of God had blessed. And lo, Ben Adham's name let all the rest. The angel accepts Abu's request, writes his name in the book, and then the angel disappears. The next night, the angel returns, and this time glowing with a bright and heavenly light. It shows Abu a new list of names. The moment he observes this new list of names who have been blessed by the God, to everyone's surprise, what is there? Abu Ben Adham's name is at the top of the list. This means his love for humanity made him the most favorite person by the Almighty God. So, this is how we can say that the poem conveys that loving humanity is the truest way to love God. Acts of kindness and selfishness, so I'm sorry, acts of kindness and selflessness are rewarded by the divine blessings. Humility and cheerfulness in life can lead to the great spiritual rewards. Abu Ben Adham's life reminds us to value the kindness, service, and love for others. That is the ultimate form of goodness. So, this is the lesson number one, Abu Ben Adham's poem. Now, we are moving to the lesson number two. The another poem we have here, I'm Not That Woman, written by Kishwar Nahid. Kishwar Nahid is a famous Urdu poet and writer from Pakistan before the partition. She was born in India only, but now she's a Pakistani Urdu writer, a famous writer. Then I'm Not That Woman by Kishwar Nahid is a powerful poem that challenges the way the society treats women. The poet rejects being reduced to a mere object or stereotype, just as the image of women used in the advertisements. She speaks out against the oppression, control, and the objectification that women face. So throughout the poem, she emphasizes that women are strong, resilient, and capable of breaking free from societal constraints. The poem calls for women to live freely and be recognized for their true worth. So let's begin this poem. The poet says, I'm not that woman selling your socks and shoes. Remember me, I'm the one you hid in your walls of stone while you roamed free as a breeze, not knowing that my voice cannot be smothered by stones. Very powerful lines. In this stanza, the poet says, she's not like the woman you see selling products like socks or shoes in the advertisements. She's not just as a product to be sold. The poet points out that while society has tried to hide her, lock her away behind the customs and the traditions, which could be seen by the phrase walls of stones, customs and traditions, her voice and spirit are strong and cannot be silenced. You can't silence my voice. Even if people try to suppress her, she will always rise up and speak. So that's a confidence level she has shown here. Then further, the poet says, I'm the one you crushed with the weight of custom and tradition, not knowing that light cannot be hidden in darkness. The poet talks about how women have been crushed under heavy traditions and the societal expectations. These traditions have held women down, made them feel small, but the poet says that no matter how hard they try to suppress her, like darkness tries to hide light, but she will always shine. Light cannot be hidden, just like her strength cannot be taken away. Very impressive, very inspirational notes. Then further, she says, remember me, I'm the one in whose lap you picked flowers and planted thorns and embers, not knowing that chains cannot smother my fragrance. In this stanza, the poet reflects on how women are often kind and caring. The words like some flowers picked from a lap. However, instead of receiving love, the women are treated badly, which could be seen by the phrases like thorns and the embers. Even though society has hurt her, the poet says that no matter how much pain she suffers, her essence, like fragrance, cannot be taken away. You can't stop the fragrance moving ahead. She will stay strong and true to herself. Then further she says, I am the woman whom you bought and sold in the name of my own chastity, not knowing that I can walk on water when I am drowning. The poet speaks about how women have been treated as objects to be bought and sold, mainly based on their purity, chastity, and loyalty. Society has used these things to control women, but the poet says that despite all this, she has the power to rise above even in the hardest times. She compares herself to someone who can walk on water even when drowning. That shows her strength and the ability to overcome all the difficulties in the life. Very, very, very impressive poem, really. Then in the next stanza, the poet says, I am the one you married off to get rid of a burden, not knowing that a nation of captive minds cannot be free. Very important line in the examination. A nation of captive minds cannot be free. The poet points out how women are often married off not because they are valued, but to get rid of a burden. But she says that when women minds are trapped by these ideas, society can never be truly free. The freedom of women is important for society to grow and to progress. If women's minds are trapped by these ideas, the nation will always be a captive nation. So, what's the necessity is here? Freedom of women is important for a society to grow as well as to progress. Then further the poet says, I'm the commodity you traded in. You traded in my chastity, my motherhood, my loyalty. Now it is the time for me to flower free. Here the poet talks about how women have been treated as the items to be traded based on the qualities like chastity, motherhood, loyalty. But she says that it's time for women to break free from these labels. She's ready to live on her own terms, not bound by what the society expects her to be. Then in the stanza 7, the poet says, the woman on that poster, half naked, selling socks and shoes. No, 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 I'm not that woman. In the final stanza, the poet rejects the image of women being used in the advertisements, where they are often shown as objects selling things. The poet says, no, I'm not that woman. She refuses to be defined by such images. She's more than just a body on display. She's a person with her own strength and her own identity. So, finally, what we can say in this poem, I'm Not That Woman, the poet speaks about how women have been oppressed, controlled, and reduced to mere objects in society. She talks about how society has tried to silence and limit women, but she also says that women are strong, resilient, and capable of breaking free from all these restrictions. She calls for women to be recognized for the true value, to live freely, and not to be defined by society's narrow expectations. So, this is about lesson number two, and now we are moving to the lesson number three. As I told you, it's without any break, no commercial breaks. Now we are moving to lesson number three, Sacrifice, a famous story by Munshi Premchand, the Hindustani literature, modern Hindustani literature author from Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, Munshi Premchand. Sacrifice. Sacrifice is also known as Ahuti. It's a story by Munshi Premchand which shows a glimpse into the participation of students in the Indian freedom struggle. It portrays how love for the motherland can can encompass almost all the relationships and emphasizes that sacrifice one makes for the country is never too big. The underlying theme of the story is the significant sacrifices made for the greater good and the impact of such actions on personal lives and the societal expectations. So let's begin it here. So we have four important characters. One is the Vishambar, who is the main character, who is a university student. Second is Anand, who is Vishambar's close friend. Next is Vishambar's father, very traditional person, but still believes in education and career. Then we have here Vishambar's mother, who understands her son's desire for independence. So Vishambar, Vishambar's friend Anand, and Vishambar's father and Vishambar's mother. So these are the four important characters in this story here. So the story begins. Vishambar is a young university student studying hard to secure a good future. He cares deeply about India's struggle for independence from British rule. On the other hand, his friend Anand is focused on academics and believes that the best way to bring change to India is through education, reforms, and hard work. Anand advises Vishambar to focus on his studies, saying that joining the freedom movement could ruin his career and future. Anand believes that a proper education will help them to contribute to the country's progress, but Vishambar would like to join the India's freedom movement. So what happens further? Vishambar is conflicted. He has a lot of confusion. On one hand, he knows that fighting for the country's freedom is important, but on the other hand, he understands that if he joins the movement, he might lose his chance to finish his studies and he cannot build a successful career. So Vishambar is torn because he wants to contribute to the independence struggle, but he's also aware of how important his education is. So Rupamani, a former classmate, comes into the story here. She's already involved in the freedom movement and she's passionate about India's fight for independence. She advises Vishambar to not to join the movement because she feels it would be a waste of his potential. She tells him that he can do more for his country by being educated and successful rather than risking everything by joining the freedom struggle. That is a moment that this is the opinion of Rupmani, the former classmate. Rupmani cares deeply for Vishambar's future and wants him to be safe. However, she also respects his desire to contribute to India's freedom. So later, after giving it a lot of thought, after doing a lot of discussion, Vishambar decides that his love for his country and its freedom is more important than his studies. He writes a letter to his friend Anand explaining that he has decided to join the freedom movement even if it means losing his future prospects. Vishambar feels that the country needs him more than his personal ambitions, and he cannot stand by while others are fighting for the freedom. He believes that the freedom of India is greater cause even if it means sacrificing his own success. So after hearing about Vishambar's decision, Rukmani is initially worried about him, but she respects Vishambar's decision. She also feels deeply about the cause and decides to continue working for the freedom movement. Rukmani takes part in the activities like spinning yarn, khadi, which was promoted by Mahatma Gandhi as a way to boycott British goods and support Indian made products, Desi. She believes that his work, though simple, but going to contribute to the larger freedom movement. So Anand, who remains focused on his belief in education, continues to disagree with Vishambar's decision. He believes that the movement for independence is risky and that getting involved might harm their future. So Anand thinks that focusing on personal success and getting an education is the way to make real change in the country. That is Anand's opinion. Anand expresses his disappointment in Bishamber's decision, arguing that there's a better way to serve India, and that is through education and reforms rather than risking everything for an uncertain cause. So Vishamber's decision to join the movement soon has serious consequences. Vishamber is arrested during a protest led by farmers against the British government's unfair policies. Vishamber is sentenced to 2 years in prison for his involvement in the protest. So 2 years he was in jail. Despite being punished, Vishamber feels a sense of pride and fulfillment. He does not regret his choice because he knows he stood up for what he believed in, the freedom of his country. While in prison, Vishambar feels both sorrow and pride. He said because the loss of his future. At the same time, he is proud to be part of a larger cause. So after Vishambar's arrest, Rukmani continues her work for the freedom movement. She is more determined than ever to support the cause. She decides to leave the place where she has been working and she moves to a new area where she can contribute more to the struggle for independence. She remains fully dedicated to helping India achieve its freedom, even though it means sacrificing her own comfort and security. Security. So the main conflict in the story, just a minute. The main conflict, 1 minute, switch on the charger. The main conflict in the story revolves around the differing viewpoints of the characters. Vishambar and Rukmani believe that freedom struggle is worth any sacrifice, even if it means giving up their personal goals. They feel that the country's independence is the ultimate goal and they are willing to risk everything to achieve it. Anand, on the other hand, believes that education and personal success are the best way to bring about long term change. He is not convinced that joining the movement will lead to success or better future for India. So, in the end, Rukmani continues to support the freedom movement even though she misses Vishambar and she's aware of the risk involved. She stays committed to the cause inspired by Vishambar's courage and dedication. Anand stays true to his belief that education is the key to India's progress and development. He still feels that focusing on personal success and reforms is the right way to improve the country. In this manner, the story ends without a resolution between their opposing views. However, the story highlights the complex decisions people have to make when they are passionate about their country's future and the sacrifice they are willing to make for the greater good. So, this is about the lesson number 3. So, we are moving rapidly to the lesson number 4, the bench. Lesson number 4, another story, The Bench by Richard Moore. Richard Moore, famous South African writer, critic, teacher who is famous for his short stories about apartheid. So let's begin that lesson number 4, The Bench. I'm sorry. The Bench is a story by Richard Moore, that focuses on the idea of apartheid in South Africa through Carly. Carly, a colored South African man who is influenced by a speech on racial discrimination that he sets off to challenge the injustice of racism after listening to the speech. The story explores the themes of racial discrimination and violence. So the story begins like this. Carly. Carly goes to a meeting where a speaker talks about the unfairness of the system that treats black people as less important than white people. The speaker says that everyone deserves to be treated equally, no matter the color of the skin. Carly feels inspired by these words, but also confused. He wonders if these ideas can really be true because he has been taught all his life that black people are supposed to stay in their place. In their place means to say in the confined place. So Carly notices things at the rally that what does he notice at the rally that challenge his old beliefs. He sees a white woman offering a cigarette to a black man, something that would never happen in his hometown. He starts to think that maybe he deserves the same rights as the white people have, but he's unsure, and these new ideas make him think deeply about his life. At the train station, Carly sees a bench, and on the bench there's a label Europeans only. This bench becomes a symbol for him. He decides that he's going to sit on it to show that he is also a human being who deserves the same rights as anyone else has. So it's a small act of defiance against the unfair system. So as Carly sits on the bench, so he decides that I'll sit on this bench, which is written only for the Europeans. He feels conflicted. One part of him says he should not sit there. Another part of him says that he's inspired by the rally, which says that he has a right. So finally, what happens? Even though he feels scary, he decides to stay or to be seated on this seat, on this bench, which is only for the Europeans. So, what is the consequence? A white man approaches Carly angrily, tells him to get up. He calls Carly horrible names, but Carly stays quiet and doesn't move. This upsets the white man even more. And these two persons, Carly and this white man, they stare at each other, each one trying to show their power by staring each other. So slowly what happened as the scene unfolds, people in the crowd they start talking. People get start gather there. They start talking. Somebody is supporting Carly. They are saying he has all the right to sit on the bench. Others are insulting him, but Carly ignores them and he stay focused on his goal. What's the goal? To be seated on the bench, which is meant only for the Europeans. Now, after some time, a policeman arrives and orders Carly to get up. Carly doesn't listen. The policeman gets angry. People continue to watch. Some is encouraging Carly to be seated. The tension grows as because the Carly stays calm and he doesn't move from there. He refuses to move. The white woman from the rally steps forward to defend Carly. You know, that white woman who offers cigarette. The white woman from the rally, she steps forward to defend Carly. She tells the policeman to treat him with respect. However, the policeman ignores her and the situation becomes more intense. What happens later? The policeman tries to force Carly off the bench and they struggle. Despite the pain and the violence, Carly doesn't give up. He starts to feel proud of himself for standing up for his rights, even though it's not easy, even though it is so hard for him. So, in the end, Carl is arrested, but he feels like he has won something important. He has won the war. By sitting on the bench, he has stood up against the unfair system. Though he's arrested, he might not have changed the world, but he has proven for himself that he is a human being who deserves of equality. So Kali realizes that he has taken the first step toward breaking free from the system of racism, and he feels empowered by his small act of defiance. So this is about the lesson, the bench. So now we are moving to the lesson number 5 continuously without any break. All the 7 lessons summary in single video. Dear first semester BCA students, the lesson number 5, the bet. Very interesting lesson, interesting story. The bet, written by Anton Chekhov, a famous Russian playwright, short story writer. Then Anton Chekhov's story The Bet explores the themes of human nature, value of freedom, the pursuit of knowledge, when you offer a critical view of materialism and the quest for worldly pleasures. The story begins with an old banker reflecting on a party which he hosted 15 years earlier, where the topic of capital punishment versus imprisonment was discussed here. So the story is about an old banker which goes back before 15 years. There was a discussion that which is better, capital punishment is better or life imprisonment is better. So the story goes through back to the party. So the banker in particular that time, the banker did not agree with the majority of the guests. Many of the guests they were saying they believed life imprisonment was better than capital punishment. He argues that the capital punishment was more human since it ended life quickly, while 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 the life imprisonment destroys the life slowly. So that was the argument. So, a young lawyer at the party argued that both capital punishment and the life imprisonment were immoral, but he would choose life imprisonment if he is given the option, that the young lawyer told. The banker, who was very passionate, the banker bet the lawyer 2 million rubles that he will not survive for 15 years of voluntary imprisonment. So the banker said, I will give you 2 million rubles. You have to show me that can you survive alone as a life imprisonment for 15 years. The lawyer accepted the bet and he agrees to stay in isolation for 15 years and afterwards he will get 2 million rubles from the banker, right? Because it's a bet, it's a shart, it's a bet here. So what happens further? The the terms, what are the terms and conditions? The TNC, the lawyer would remain in a small room on the banker's property with no contact with anybody. There's a term. He would not leave the room or see any other human beings for 15 years. Okay. The lawyer can read the books, can write the letters, can play musical instrument, can receive food and wine, but he could communicate with the outside world only through a small window. For 15 years, he has to be in the solitary confinement. That is a TNC, terms and condition of the bet. The lawyer initially struggled with the isolation, feeling lonely and bored, but over the time he rejected the luxuries like wine, tobacco, and he started focusing on study. In the first few years, he read the light novels and stories, but by the sixth year, he began studying some more serious subjects like philosophy, languages, and history. So by the end of the 10th year, the lawyer was deeply involved in the books and he showed a deep appreciation for knowledge. He learned the 6 languages. He read a wide range of subjects during his till his 10th year. So over the years, what's happening with this banker here? This banker's financial situation was getting worsened day by year because he made a lot of risky investment. He lost much of his wealth. So by the end of 15th year, he feared he would not be able to pay the lawyer the 2 million rubles. He said that my financial situation is getting worse day by day, and 15 years is also getting over. Now he does not even have 2 million rubles to pay for the bet. The banker is worried and he's desperate. He thought of a plan. He thought, why don't I kill this lawyer so that I need not pay the 2 million rubles? So he plans to kill the lawyer. So on the night before the bet was coming to an end, so tomorrow the bet will get over. So before that night, he went over there. The banker entered into the garden wing where through this garden wing he entered. The lawyer was kept, right. He was sleeping, and he smothered the lawyer to avoid paying the money. The banker found the lawyer sitting motionless on the table, putting his head down, looking almost skeletal from years of confinement. The lawyer was so weak, he looked much older than his actual age of 40. The banker discovered that the lawyer had written a letter before his release. In the letter, sorry, in the letter, the lawyer expressed that after 15 years of studying and reflection, he had come to despise life, freedom, and material wealth. He doesn't want any money. He has seen. The lawyer revealed that he no longer cared for the 2 million rubles and he was willing to forfeit them to show his contempt for the worldly desires. He doesn't want anything. And what did the lawyer do? The lawyer made his decision to leave the room 5 minutes before the 15 years were up, thus violating the agreement on forfeiting the 2 million rubles. He broke the bet. He left just 5 minutes before the bet was going to end. The lawyer's gesture was one of complete renunciation of worldly values, choosing spiritual growth and wisdom over the money and materialism. The banker, after reading the lawyer's letter, realized how much he had lost and how deeply the lawyer had changed. The banker felt immense guilt, regret for having made the bet, and for his own greed. The lawyer's wisdom and the rejection of material wealth left the banker feeling empty and ashamed of his own selfishness. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, what we can say here, the lawyer walked away from the bet, free of material desires and worldly attachments, while the banker was left with nothing but the realization of his own moral failure. The lawyer had won the moral victory, having gained wisdom and freedom from materialism, while the banker was left facing financial ruin and deep self contempt. And you know, one more thing, he had never told to anybody about the letter, because if he says to anybody, people will think that how selfish he was. So, hence, the story bet is about the consequences of greed, materialism, and the pursuit of knowledge. It highlights how a man's perspective on life can change when faced with extreme isolation and the power of wisdom over wealth. So this is about the lesson number 6, the bet, brief summary. Now we are moving to lesson number 6, playing the English gentleman by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi by Gandhi ji. So what is this lesson about? The lesson Playing the English Gentleman is an excerpt from Gandhiji's autobiography, The Story of My Experiments with Truth. Mahatma Gandhi reflects on his personal journey of trying to fit into English society while grappling with his own identity and values. Gandhiji shares his experiences of being influenced by the desire to conform to the Western ideals of an English gentleman, including adopting this lifestyle, dress, manners. Through his experiments with vegetarianism, social customs, and personal appearances, he learns important lessons about what truly matters in life. What matters? Inner character, self respect, staying true to one's own principles rather than merely imitating external behaviors for acceptance. So let's go through the lesson here. Gandhiji became more interested in vegetarianism after reading books about it. He learned that a vegetarian diet could be good for both health and morality. He read books by authors like Howard Williams, Dr. Anna Kingsford, and Dr. Ellinson. These books explained how many famous people like Pythagoras and Jesus they were vegetarians. At first, Gandhi followed a vegetarian diet for health reasons, but later he felt it he felt it was also part of his spiritual beliefs. So Gandhiji had a friend who worried that he would become weak and unhealthy without eating meat. The friend also thought Gandhi would not fit in with English society if he did not eat meat. One day, Gandhi's friend invited him to a fancy restaurant. When the waiter brought soup, Gandhi was not sure whether it was vegetarian, so he asked. His friend got angry and told Gandhi he was embarrassing him. Gandhi was upset and but left the restaurant, went to another vegetarian place, although it was closed, so he didn't eat that night. To make his friend happy and fit in better with English society, Gandhiji decided to act like and just like an English gentleman. He thought his Indian clothes were not proper for England, so he bought new, fancy clothes, including a formal hat, a watch chain, and an evening suit. Gandhiji also practiced tying his tie, combing his hair, and spent time in front of the mirror to look perfect. He even looked dancing lessons. He even took dancing lessons, French lessons, elocution lessons, right? Why? To become an English gentleman. Despite his efforts, Gandhiji found he was not very good at dancing and he struggled with speaking and playing the violin. He started to think, why am I trying to so hard to be like an English gentleman? I should focus on my studies and improve my character instead. That he was thinking. Gandhiji realized that being a true gentleman is not about how you look or what skills you have, but about being a good person. He decided to stop spending money on clothes and lessons. Instead, he chose to focus on his studies and personal development. He understood that being a gentleman meant having good values and character, not just looking good or following society's rules. So, hence, we can say here in this extract, we find Gandhiji learned that he did not need to pretend to be someone he was not just to fit in. What mattered most was inner growth, being a good person, and staying true to his own beliefs and values. So, this is about lesson number 6, and now we are moving to the last lesson of first semester BCA General English under Bangalore City University syllabus. So, friends, it's a continuous video without any break. I'm getting thirsty. Lesson number 7 on superstitions by the famous author, famous English journalist, editor, and very remarkable essayist A.G. Gardiner. On Superstitions by A.G. Gardiner is taken from his 1931 collection of essays titled The Alpha of the Plow, second series. And you know one more thing, A.G. Gardiner's pseudonym is Alpha of the Plow. He was also known as by the name Alpha of the Plow. This essay attacks on superstitions which prevail in all the societies in all the ages. The essayist convinces the readers about the acceptance of human beings who willingly fall prey to irrational restrictions on one's behavior. So to make the essay looking very funny, here the AG Gardiner has become a narrator himself. So what happens in the essay? Let's see. The essay starts by discussing the superstition which is surrounding the number 3. All of us, we don't like number 13. Number 13, I'm sorry, number 13. When a murder occurs in a house number 13, people notice it more, even though statistically the murder may happen in other houses also, which is other numbers also. But they won't observe, but they always observe more the house which is number 13. So while most people don't truly believe in the superstition, but they still feel uneasy about it. Despite knowing that superstitions are irrational, people still act on them. A.G. Gardiner himself admits to walking around ladders for safety, not about a belief in superstition, but as a precautionary measures for family safety. This essay mentions that physical recovery can be influenced by the mind, which is shown in the case of a soldier who died from a minor pimple after surviving severe injuries. He survived after severe injuries, but he died because of a minor pimple because he had a kind of superstition about it. Superstitions may impact mental state and recovery, which could be seen in the case of a hospital where the bed number is 13. Then the essayist reflects on his own behavior, noting that he avoids walking under ladders and has some superstitions like feeling pleased when seeing the new moon in a certain way. He also mentions how habits like turning money over when he sees the new moon can be linked to the subconscious superstitions. Gardiner explores how ancient civilizations like the Greeks and the Romans they believed in omens and the signs. Historical figures like Cicero trusted omens and sometimes made life-altering decisions based on them. Like Cicero's death was influenced by trusting in the fight of crows. Right? People think that because he saw the fight of crows, so he died. So this way, Gardiner contrasts the ancient superstitions with the modern science and the rationality. Today, people no longer rely on signs like animal entrails or thunder to guide their decisions. Modern science may not have all the answers, but it has replaced superstitions with more rational approaches. While superstitions have been largely discredited, Gardiner acknowledges that acknowledges that traces of them, the footprints of those superstitions still exist in the modern society. People may not fully believe in the superstitions, but they are still influenced by the superstitions in a very subtle ways. So hence we can say that Gardiner concludes that while science and reasons have helped reducing superstition, but the influence of ancient beliefs still lingers in small and everyday actions. So this is about lesson number 7. So friends, this is how I have tried to gather the all the 7 lessons summary in single video without any break. All the 7 lessons you have gone through it. I hope you have understood. I hope you have liked this video. If you have liked this video, click on the like button, write in the comment box. And the dear first semester BCA students, please do subscribe the channel if you have not yet subscribed it, because you'll be getting the model question paper solution even in the second semester, third semester, fourth semester. You'll be getting so a lot of videos on the particular topics of the syllabus. So hope you have liked the video. For the grammar videos, you can see the description box where you will get all the grammar videos links. So thank you so much for watching my video on all the chapters of first semester BC General English. And if you have any questions, any queries, you can reach me at mukeshenglish@gmail.com. So please stay connected with my channel, Mukesh English. Thank you so much. I wish you very good luck for the examination.